Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Red Steak. So there's a lot that I want to go over today in the NFL. But first, let's start off with my takeaways from this past week in the NFL. You remember how I do? I do my one phrase and quick summary for each game. So let's start off with my first game back on Thursday night, which for the Ravens and Dolphins. Still got it. So Brian Flores proved that despite the bad season that he's having right now, he's considered a defensive guru for a reason, and he gave Lamar Jackson one of his worst performances ever in the NFL. So give credit to Brian Flores there and the defense for the upset. Imagine if Brian Flores had a better line and a better QB. That'd be pretty fun to think about. Falcons versus Cowboys. You like them Cowboys? So with no Randy Gregory and still no DeMarcus Lawrence, you're out two defensive end stars. The D-line still feasted on that Falcons O-line. The Cowboys, like all great teams do after they get embarrassed last week, they bounce back the following week. Saints versus Titans. The penalty crew. Once again, Saints lost the game due to penalties. I mean, there's other factors, but mainly penalties. There's one that was in the end zone, near the end zone. The safety Marcus Woods had an interception and got a game for running the pass play. That penalty, I know this, I agree with. But when you're going for a tiny 2-point conversion, you cannot have a false start. Like, just stuff like that is the reason that gets you in the way from winning games. And I don't get why, because Sean Payton is considered such a good coach and all that, but for some reason, I mean, they might even be as bad as the Bucks right now, which I'll get to in a little bit, but for some reason, they're just a heavy penalized team, whether it's, legit penalties or not, and that's something that might cost them down the line. They need to kind of get their act together. Jaguars versus Colts. The Indy 500. So Indy took care of business, and now they're back to 500. Jags basically gagged. Trevor Lawrence was marching down the field and fumbled the game away. Typical way to lose a game if you're a Jags fan. Credit for the Jags to keep this game close, though. Browns versus Patriots. Baker's not a moneymaker. I know Baker left the game due to an injury, and he has not been 100% this season. But in a season where the AFC is unpredictable, you have an excellent line. Not necessarily in this case running game, because both Chubb and Hunter out, although Johnson's good. And then you have a good D-line. So it appears to this point, the Browns are probably going to miss the playoffs, in my opinion. And Baker, and also in my opinion, does not deserve to get paid the Lamar or Josh Allen type of money. No max contract for them. If he's willing to take less money, great if you're a Cleveland fan. If not, then you got a decision to make. Bills versus Jets. QB controversy over. So I've been saying for weeks now, this is not a QB controversy. But for the silly people who thought this was Mike White's team now, you're dead wrong. 0 touchdowns, 4 picks last game. There's a reason why he was a 7th round pick, whatever it was, and the Cowboys were fine with keeping him on their practice squad and then letting him go. Half of that is just he's just okay, like he's a pocket passer, so he's just the type of guy who gets the ball out quickly, But when you're that type of quarterback, you got to be efficient while doing so, and he hasn't proved to be that efficient. Now he's been more efficient than Zach Wilson, 66% versus 58% for Zach, wherever. But that's due to style though, because when you're running around, you're trying to throw, or contested balls, it's going to happen. But Wilson, we flag him, because he has 4 touchdowns and 9 picks this year. Well, Mike White has 5 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, so still not any difference there. So White as a starter is over now. I can't believe he said, I thought I was a first overall pick. Yeah, right. Now after watching that performance, and now, since apparently Zach Wilson's not healthy still, apparently Joe Flacco is now getting the start for this week. That shows you that Mike White's time is definitely over. Lions versus Steelers. Tired of watching. This became a boring watch, especially when it went overtime. Both teams trading 3 and outs or turnovers or missed field goals, rather. Neither team deserved to win this game, which is why they ended up in a tie. But for Detroit, though, they'll take that over an L any day. Again, I hate the overtime rules in the NFL, just pointing that out. Buccaneers versus Washington. Another one bites the Brady. So for some reason, as good as Brady is, he's some questionable losses to lesser QBs, like whether it's Nick Foles or Trevor Siemian before the bye week and after the bye week, Heineke as of late. This is not a good look for the Bucs. And an excellent loss for the Bucs if you're one of those top teams like Arizona, Green Bay, and Dallas, trying to fight for that 1 seed. Great loss for them. Panthers versus Cardinals. Cam Newton provided that spark energy to Arizona. just couldn't, basically match. And with, Colt McCoy getting hurt and all the injuries they still have, with Hawkins being out and um, obviously Murray being out and JJ Watt being out, it was just, this one was definitely kind of like those dud type of games where they just couldn't overcome all those injuries. And now Cam Newton's on track to be the starter this week, so we'll see how the Panthers go from here on out. Vikings versus Chargers. Vikes catch a break. So over the past few weeks, they've had let leads slip away and haven't been able to come clutch at all, but they were finally able to come clutch this time, scoring 2 touchdowns in the fourth to give Minnesota a much-needed win to keep themselves in contention for last wildcard spot. Discussion. Eagles versus Broncos. Flying in the mountains. The Eagles soared on both offense and defense in this game. It's weird to say this, but the Eagles are one of those teams that may end up contending for the last wildcard spot, maybe. It still may be a little bit too early to say that, but it's starting to look away at this point. And they're definitely on track to be the second best team in NFC East, which I did not have, so did not see that coming. Seahawks versus Packers. The ugly contest. So instead of the beauty contest, when you think of Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, we got an ugly contest on Sunday between the two. If I'm a Seahawks fan, I'm very concerned. Just saying that you're going to miss the playoffs. Chiefs versus Raiders. Viva Las Chiefs. So the dynamic Chiefs offense has finally been found, and it's been in Vegas this whole time, apparently. Now, I don't think they will score 40 plus or even 30 plus every single game from now on. I still think, not every game is going to go perfectly. But maybe this was the breakthrough that the Chiefs needed. And for Vegas, man, they're talking about you're on the fast track to make the playoffs, and now you're also on the fast track to miss the playoffs. They got to get together if they want to keep their season alive. Rams versus 49ers. McVay's kryptonite. Once again, McVay loses to Kyle Shanahan, and it's usually because the 49ers can have their way running the ball. The Titans last week, the 49ers have kind of laid out a good blueprint for beating this team, which is be physical, run the ball, win the time possession. If you do that, you have a good chance of winning. So now it's time to go over my Week 11 NFL predictions for this week. So let's start off with the Thursday night game between the Patriots, 6-4 versus the Falcons, 4-5. Patriots are a 7-point favorite. I think that's too low. I think if the Falcons O-line is going to get manhandled by a short-handed Dallas O-line, imagine what the Patriots D-line is going to do to the Falcons O-line. Despite being Atlanta, it's not going to look pretty there. And as far as the defense, the defense got messed around by Dallas, and I'm sure they're going to get messed around by Mac Jones' loss. Mac Jones, for the most part, usually does, just stays efficient, So I have Patriots winning this game easily. I'm winning them 38-9. Next, you got Saints versus Eagles. Now this one's kind of hard one for me to predict because the Eagles' D-line, I feel like, can kind of cause problems to the Saints' line, who has been struggling as of recently. And also, Jalen Hurts. The last time the Saints played him last year, the Saints did a horrible job on him. So I'm kind of interested to see what they do differently this time. And then as far as the Saints go, it'll be interesting to see how they come back on offense, because if Kamara can come back, then you give yourself a very good chance to win. And I have them winning because I assume Kamara's going to win. If Kamara's not coming back, then I might take the Eagles for upset here. But I'm going to assume Kamara's coming back, then therefore I have them winning 23-21. Colts versus Bills. This is a very interesting game here. I do feel like it could be close. I feel like the line Bills 7. I feel like it's kind of spot on, basically, close to what I predict. Basically, what it comes down to is that Bills defense, they're very good, and since Carson Wentz is prone to turning the ball over against very good defenses, and especially this one being on the road, that's why I feel like the Bills will end up pulling out a victory here, although it'll be a close, fought battle. I have Buffalo winning 27-17. Ravens versus Bears. Ravens are a 6-point favorite. I feel like that's a little bit low. I feel like the Ravens should win by more. And I know the Bears, they can cause havoc on the Ravens' own line because of Miami's defense can, and the Bears certainly can. But I feel like on the opposite end, the Bears' own line is going to get tortured by the Ravens' D-line, especially since they blitz so much. So I feel like Lamar Jackson can kind of overcome his bad line versus Justin Fields. I feel like he's not going to be able to overcome his bad line. So therefore, I have Ravens winning 27-13 and getting the Ravens back on my track. Lions versus Browns. Browns favored by 10. Now, there's been no official word if Baker's going to start or not. I feel like that line's actually too big despite being the Lions. I feel like this will actually be a one-possession game. Now, in the end, because the Browns are overall better, they will win this game, especially at home. But don't be surprised that the Lions cover the spread here. Browns winning 17-13. Texans versus Titans. Titans favorite 10F. I feel like That could be a little bit higher. I know this is a divisional type of game, so you never know with divisional type of games. But I'm going to have Tennessee comfortably win here 28-10. Packers versus Vikings. Packers are 2.5 point favorite. For some reason, especially since after the Vikings got that clutch win last week, I don't know. I feel like it's still going to take another week for two for Aaron Rodgers to kind of get back to himself, after recovering from COVID. So I feel like the Vikings can finally take advantage of that and do enough to win this game. I have especially with Aaron Jones for the Packers going to be out this week. I know AJ Dillon's good, but it's going to be tough not having Aaron Jones there. So I'm going to have the Vikings getting the upset here, 24-21. Dolphins versus Jets. Dolphins favored by 3. Apparently, like I said, Joe Flacco's getting the start in this game. And I feel like because Miami's not great on offense, they won't be able to expose the Jets' defense. Which means that the Jets can just be competent on offense. They can keep this close, which I think they can. But in the end, kind of like second half, fourth quarter, everything, I feel like Miami was finally starting to pull away and win 24-10. Washington versus the Carolina. The very interesting game here, as Cam Newton will make his first start right now, going against his former head coach, Ron Rivera. He's going to be anxious to get revenge on him. And I feel like after such the emotional high it was last week, I don't feel like the Panthers are going to quite match that this week. But because of the Panthers' defense, I feel like they'll be able to shut down Heineke in that offense enough to where Panthers can just outscore them to win. I have Panthers winning 24-16. 49ers versus Jaguars. I have 49ers are 6.5 point favorites. I have 49ers winning this one. But because Jacksonville's defense has been playing well recently, and the offense has kind of been keeping it close, I'm going to have this not be a blowout per se, but I do have the 49ers covering here. It's 24-13. Bengals versus Raiders. Bengals 1 point favorite. Now, this is a toss-up type of game. I literally don't know who's going to win this game. It can go either way here. But because Vegas desperately need this win and they're at home, I'm going to have Vegas here get the upset here, 26-23. Cardinals versus Seahawks. Cardinals 2.5 point favorite. Now, for this game, a lot of people are going to say Cardinals, but I'm actually going to go Seahawks here, mainly because if they lose this game, Seahawks season is basically over. And I think it's already over, but it's basically over. They lose this game. Russell Wilson with another week back, he's going to kind of like play a revenge game basically after his horrible performance last week. And then Cardinals, it looks like, they might, since Arizona's bye next week, they might rest Kyler Murray one more week and Colt McCoy should start. But even then, I feel like as long as Kyler Murray and Hopkins are not playing, then I feel like Seahawks should be able to win this game at home in Seattle. So I have them winning 20-17. Cowboys versus Chiefs. Chiefs favored by 2.5 points. Now this one, again, one of the toss-up games, can go literally any way. I feel like it's going to be a shootout. In the end, though, I feel like both offenses are great, when they're at their best. But as far as the defense it goes, and I guess special teams, and depending on the day, my favorite Kansas City, but it depends on the days, and then it comes down to defense, who's better between that. I feel like since Dallas defense is better than Kansas City's defense, so I feel like Dallas get the edge here and win 31-30. Now, Kansas City continues to play good defense like they had the past couple weeks. They can definitely win, but I'm going to go Dallas here barely. And as for Sunday football, Steelers Chargers. Now with Big Ben still might be now, and now TJ Watt maybe out due to injury, and Joey Bosa for Chargers out because of COVID and all that. It's definitely not a Sunday night worthy type of game. But oh well. And I still have this being a close game because since Chargers are a bad run defense, Pittsburgh doesn't have to rely on Mason Rudolph forever. Even Big Ben, if he comes back, they can run the ball and keep it close. But in the end, I have the Chargers winning at home 19-17. Now, this Monday Night Football, Giants versus Buccaneers. Buccaneers 11 point favorite. I think that's spot on. I think the Buccaneers will bounce back after their bad performance against Washington. But I feel like because of all the injuries and stuff, I still feel like they can't make it a blowout per se. So I have it being like a close first half game, but then the Buccaneers eventually pull away. I have them winning 24-13. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel if you want about me. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.